I did my project on the role that social norms play on the gender pay gap and attempted to provide a measurement for social norms that is typically an omitted variable. Gender-based workplace discrimination can take many forms. A couple examples are employers being hesitant to invest in female employees due to the risk of moving in and out of the labor force upon having children, or simply the belief that females are only suitable for certain occupations. This is typically measured using the Oaxaca decomposition model, which runs a regression for males and a regression for females, using human capital variables and control variables such as race, region, and occupation, and then determines the difference and what portion of that difference is explained based on skill differences and unexplained, which is typically used as a measure of discrimination. Social norms and the expectations that arise from those can play a large role in career decisions, family decisions, and many other decisions for especially females. Some females will plan on leaving their careers upon having children, while others do not plan on leaving. Certain social norms can lead females to expect to be the primary breadwinner within their home and therefore are more aggressive when making career decisions, while others would expect for the male to be the primary breadwinner and therefore be less aggressive. Although the role that social norms and these expectations play is frequently discussed, it often goes unmeasured due to the difficulty in measurement. The hypothesis for my project is that expectations concerning these gender roles impact female income and therefore the gender wage gap. The avenue used to measure the impact of social norms on the gender gap is a respondent's parents both providing significant income, which will be in the form of a dummy variable called dual income household, equal to 1 if the mother's income is greater than half of the father's income. This should represent growing up in a dual income household, which would lead to more equal expectations regarding gender and pay, potentially eliminating any gender attitudes that could impact wages in the future. This measurement will also ensure that households where the income was reliant on the father, but the mother worked, are not considered dual income. For example, a stay-at-home mom starting to work part-time once the child begins school is not providing significant income in the context of this study because the expectations are still that the male is the sole breadwinner. I will also use the Oaxaca decomposition method, which takes two regressions, as discussed earlier, one for men and one for women, and determines what portions are due to differences in skill or the explained portions and differences in unexplained portions, which is often contributed to discrimination. As you can see the equation, Y will be the log of the income measurement used, and in this study, I've used the yearly income and the weekly income. Using yearly income as a dependent variable, the results go along with what was expected. The dual income households had less of a difference in the log of yearly income in both time periods compared with the overall and the non-dual income households. Looking at the weekly income as a dependent variable, the results are still as expected, with the dual income households having less of a gap than both of the other groups. It's important to note the smaller difference that occurs using weekly income, which is due to women averaging around 40 weeks worked per year compared with 45 for men. So that seems to be where the difference in the difference between the weekly wages compared with the yearly wages is in time worked. The evidence in this study supports the hypothesis that expectations regarding gender roles do impact the gender wage gap. Growing up in a dual income household has a positive impact on income for both males and females, but the results illustrate that there's a greater impact found on females due to the smaller difference for dual income households compared with non-dual income households and the overall categories. This study can provide insight into policy decisions on how to combat gender-based pay differences, policies aimed at easier access to childcare to increase the current female labor force participation should also impact future female incomes and therefore lessen the gender pay gap going forward.